When I was young, in the 1970s, one of the most common refrains you would hear was, "It's a free country." But no one with clear conscience could recite that mantra now. For despite mounting opposition, the free speech crisis just keeps on getting worse. Jerry Sadowitz was just banned from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, with the promoters reciting the most common mantra of the current year. "We believe in free speech, but..." Darren Brayley, a 51-year-old veteran, had posted a meme of 4 pride flags arranged as a swastika. It was a pithy comment on the fascistic bullying that shields the trans community. And, as if to prove him 100% correct, the police, who can't be bothered investigating burglaries or muggings, and who are presiding over a meteoric rise in stabbings, sent a whole cadre of uniformed officers to Brady's house to harangue, lecture, bully and arrest him, forcing him into handcuffs and dragging him away. There's lots of talk about the thought police these days. And here they are, plain as day and bold as brass, with no shame about their horrific actions. Just like every other simple-minded, fascistic bully boys in history. The online thought police have been busy too. Alienating Elon Musk was never going to satisfy the radical leftists who run Twitter, so they promptly issued bans to Jordan Peterson and to James Lindsay, 2 erudite critics of the woke fascism that's increasingly impossible to deny, except by all the idiots enacting it, of course. They also handed out an arbitrary lifetime ban to this channel, my third. My high crime? I expressed a hope that Jacinda Ardern loses an election. And for that, I was banned. Of course, hundreds of thousands of Islamist and leftist accounts can still issue death threats all the time, with no sanction. But the mildest critique of the liberal elites who dominate our society with ever more tyrannical intolerance will see you canned. Though, of course, you can be as vile as you like towards Donald Trump, Ronald DeSantis, or the Tories. And they provided proof of this immediately. J.K. Rowling had sent out a message of support to Salman Rushdie, when the writer was stabbed in the neck and chest by an Islamist lunatic. And she got an immediate death threat from another fanatic. Now, did Twitter ban him? You must be joking. His account's still there, and they're still letting him tweet justifications while ignoring Rowling's pleas for help. I suspect the uproar over this will eventually force their hand, but that'll be too late. They've already shown their true colours. I'd spent 6 months putting in 6 hours work a day to build up a Twitter account to promote my channel, and the whole lot was gone in a flash. Deleted by the sort of hypocritical and despotic fascists who still claim that cancel culture doesn't exist. The truth is that the internet runs on a system of apartheid, and the second-class citizens, suppressed, alienated and barred at every turn, are conservatives. Now that brings us to Alex Jones and Alex Belfield. I'm not a fan of either of these guys, but free speech needs to be extended to those you find disagreeable or unpleasant. In fact, that's the entire point. Alex Jones was certainly the worst offender of the two. He had widely disseminated the idiotic and revolting Sandy Hook conspiracy theory, which brushed off the murders of 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7, and 6 teachers and adult members of staff. This conspiracy also impugned the grieving parents of those murdered children as crisis actors in the employ of the government. Some particularly noxious individuals took it upon themselves to harass and bully those parents, abuse which prompted this lawsuit. But Alex Jones, vile though his role was, is not responsible for the actions of others. He didn't overtly encourage anyone to pester those parents. So the lawsuit should have been directed at the guilty parties. There's less publicity in that, though, and less money. The judge handed Alex Jones a $50 million penalty for something he didn't do. And she made it transparently clear that her intent in levying such a harsh fee was to shut Jones up in future. Our elites are silencing dissidents, and they're quite open about it. Jones is something of a noxious figure, and his Sandy Hook broadcasts were vile. But we need to allow for speculation and free discourse in society, because a muzzled civilization is far worse than one which gives airtime to the occasional idiot. That brings us to Alex Belfield. I've little exposure to his broadcasts, but he seems more of an irritant than a toxic figure like Jones. His irreverent style isn't to my taste, but he clearly has lots of fans, as does Alex Jones, and they should be allowed to, because no one should have the authority to arbitrate on another's taste. The judge in the Belfield case, in his own words, said Belfield had been found guilty of stalking because he made YouTube videos about a number of BBC employees, posted messages on social media about them, and sent emails either to or about them. And I'm sorry, but isn't that journalism? Despite this, and the fact that Belfield never physically stalked those lodging the complaints, and neither did his fans, the judge has told him he may well be jailed. Jeremy Vine, one of those who accused him, called him the Jimmy Savile of stalkers. And isn't it ironic that Vine cited a BBC employee? Because who really causes more harassment? YouTube personalities, or the sort of journalists for media outlets like the BBC? Who was persecuted and impugned more? Was it Jeremy Vine? Or was it Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, Tommy Robinson, or Princess Diana? Journalists, it seems, really don't like getting a taste of their own medicine. So this judgment is another slap in the face of the little people, while protecting the awesome power and wealth of the legacy media outlets, who can be trusted to toe the line on whatever the accepted narrative is this week. The verdict sends out a clear message. Not only are we forced by law to pay for the BBC, with the risk of jail time if we don't, but we can't criticise them either. And if we do, we risk facing jail time for that as well. And what else are the BBC up to while they're doing this? Well, they've spent the last week or two pumping out pro-Chinese propaganda justifying their aggression over Taiwan, allowing an idiotic talking head from the School of Oriental and African Studies, Britain's worst university, to churn out lies while offering no contrary reports as balance. And while engaged in such despicable activities, they're attempting to jail their critics. What dystopian hell have we slid into? What's happened to this country? To wider Western civilization? And how on earth have the majority of the population been persuaded that this situation's not just acceptable, but commendable? And that the people who speak out about it, those who value true liberty, are the real dangerous lunatics. If you'd like to support this channel, please like, subscribe, and think about buying my books. They're called The Tyranny of the Left, and they go into topics like this in much greater detail. They're available on the links below. Please do feel free to pick them up and let me know what you think. Thank you.